5 more scary ghost stories to keep you awake at night. 1. The Sallie House. The Sallie House in Atchison, Kansas, has earned a reputation as one of the most terrifying haunted houses in America. Its history is steeped in mystery, pain, and fear. The haunting began in the early 1990s when Deborah and Tony Pickman moved into the house, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. The activity started innocently enough. Small items would move on their own, lights flickered, and cold spots were felt throughout the home. But soon, the encounters became far more aggressive. One night, Tony woke up to find strange scratches on his body, as if something unseen had clawed at him. These attacks continued and escalated, with Tony being scratched, burned, and even pushed by an invisible force. The house's most infamous ghost, a little girl named Sallie, is believed to be the spirit responsible for much of the torment. Legend has it that Sallie was a 6-year-old girl who died in the house during a botched appendectomy. The doctor who operated on her, desperate to save her life, performed the surgery without anesthesia, resulting in Sallie's agonizing death. It's said that Sallie's spirit never forgave the doctor, and her anger now manifests as violent energy within the home. Over time, paranormal investigators and mediums flocked to the Sallie House, attempting to communicate with the restless spirit. Many have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, hearing disembodied voices, and witnessing objects being thrown across rooms. Video footage has captured the disturbing image of a shadowy figure moving through the house, while others claim to have seen Sallie's ghost, her face twisted with rage and pain. The house itself seems to amplify the negative energy, almost as if it's a living, breathing entity. People who've stayed overnight have reported experiencing vivid, nightmarish visions and waking up with fresh scratches and bruises, often in the shape of small hands. Even skeptics have left the Sallie House shaken, unable to explain the relentless activity that occurs within its walls. To this day, the Sallie House stands as a testament to a pain-filled past, and it continues to be a magnet for those seeking proof of the supernatural. But be warned. Those who enter often leave with more than just stories, carrying with them the mark of something truly evil. 2. The White House Ghosts. The White House, the residence of American presidents since 1800, is not only a place of power and politics but also a place of lingering spirits and ghostly encounters. Over the centuries, many have reported strange and eerie experiences within its historic walls, making it one of the most haunted buildings in the United States. One of the most frequently seen apparitions is that of Abraham Lincoln. The story goes that shortly after his assassination in 1865, Lincoln's ghost began appearing in the White House. First Lady Grace Coolidge, wife of President Calvin Coolidge, was among the first to report seeing Lincoln standing by a window in the Oval Office, gazing out over the Potomac River as if deep in thought. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill also had a memorable encounter when he stayed at the White House during World War II. After stepping out of a bath, completely naked, he claimed to have seen Lincoln's ghost standing by the fireplace. Churchill, ever the quick wit, reportedly said, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at a disadvantage," before Lincoln's spirit slowly faded away. But Lincoln isn't the only ghost said to wander the halls. The ghost of Abigail Adams, wife of the second President John Adams, has been seen floating through the East Room, arms outstretched, as if carrying invisible laundry. The story goes that during her time in the White House, she used the East Room to hang her laundry, and even in death, she continues this mundane task. Witnesses have described seeing a misty figure gliding through the room, and others have reported the faint scent of wet laundry lingering in the air. The ghost of Andrew Jackson is another frequent visitor, often heard stomping through the halls and laughing in his unmistakable, boisterous way. One report from the 1860s claimed that President Jackson's spirit was seen lying on his old bed, his face twisted into a scowl, still angry about some long-forgotten injustice. There are even reports of the spirit of British soldiers roaming the grounds. These soldiers were allegedly seen by construction workers during the 1950s while the White House was being renovated. It's said that the soldiers are the restless spirits of those who burned down the White House during the War of 1812. The White House is a place where history is quite literally alive. Even today, staff members and visitors report sudden cold spots, strange noises, and the feeling of being watched, as if the ghosts of America's past are still keeping a vigilant eye on the country's future. 3. The Riddle House. The Riddle House, located in West Palm Beach, Florida, is a Victorian-style home with a dark and sinister history. Originally built as a funeral parlor in the early 1900s, the house was later moved to Yesteryear Village, a historical park, and it's here that its haunted reputation truly took hold. The most notorious spirit said to haunt the house is that of Joseph, a former employee of the Riddle family. Legend has it that Joseph fell on hard times and, in a moment of despair, took his own life in the attic. Since then, the attic has become a hotspot for paranormal activity, and many have reported seeing Joseph's ghost still hanging from the rafters. Visitors and employees have experienced unexplainable occurrences: doors slamming shut on their own, objects moving inexplicably, and an overwhelming sense of dread. In one instance, a group of paranormal investigators was forced to flee when an unseen force began hurling heavy objects across the room, narrowly missing them. Joseph's spirit is not the only one to inhabit the house. Others have reported seeing shadowy figures wandering the hallways and hearing disembodied voices whispering their names. Many who enter the Riddle House speak of an oppressive feeling, as if something is watching them, waiting for them to make a mistake. Over the years, many attempts have been made to cleanse the house of its malevolent spirits, but none have succeeded. The Riddle House remains one of the most haunted locations in Florida, its past tragedies forever echoing through the halls. 4. The Grey Lady of Dudley Castle. Dudley Castle, nestled in the West Midlands of England, has stood for nearly 1,000 years, bearing witness to countless battles, sieges, and tragedies. But it's the spirit known as the Grey Lady that has made this ancient fortress one of the most haunted places in Britain. The Grey Lady is believed to be the ghost of Dorothy Beaumont, who died at the castle in the 1640s. Dorothy passed away shortly after childbirth, and her infant daughter also died soon after. Dorothy's dying wish was to be buried beside her daughter and for her husband to attend the funeral, but neither wish was granted. It's said that this unfulfilled longing keeps her spirit bound to the castle, searching for the peace she was denied in life. The Grey Lady has been seen countless times, drifting through the castle's dark corridors, her face pale and sorrowful, and dressed in a flowing gray gown. Witnesses have reported hearing soft sobbing echoing through the castle grounds, and some have even felt a cold, ghostly hand touch their shoulder when they visit certain areas of the castle. Paranormal investigators have captured strange orbs of light and shadowy figures on camera, and many claim to feel an inexplicable chill whenever they walk through the castle's ancient halls. The Grey Lady's story is a tragic reminder of a life cut short and a heart that never found closure. 5. The Ghost of Mary King's Close. Beneath the bustling streets of Edinburgh lies Mary King's Close, a network of narrow alleyways and underground rooms that have been shrouded in mystery and death for centuries. The Close, which dates back to the 1600s, was once a thriving hub of life until the plague swept through, leaving death and devastation in its wake. The inhabitants were sealed off, left to die, and the area was forgotten, until stories of ghostly apparitions began to emerge. One of the most famous spirits said to haunt Mary King's Close is that of a young girl named Annie. According to legend, Annie was abandoned by her family when the plague broke out, left to die alone in one of the rooms. She's often seen standing in the shadows, crying for her lost doll, her little hands reaching out in desperation. Visitors often leave dolls and toys in her room as offerings, hoping to bring her some comfort in death. Other apparitions include shadowy figures moving through the narrow alleyways, the sound of footsteps echoing in the dark, and the overwhelming feeling of being watched. Many people have reported feeling sudden cold drafts or seeing unexplained misty shapes drifting through the underground chambers. Mary King's Close is a place where history and the supernatural collide, a haunting reminder of the lives lost and the souls that still wander its ancient passages. Conclusion. These stories, the Sallie House, the White House Ghosts, the Riddle House, the Grey Lady of Dudley Castle, and the Ghost of Mary King's Close, serve as eerie reminders of the thin veil that separates our world from the unknown. Each haunting is a glimpse into lives that have been interrupted, souls that remain restless, and histories that refuse to be forgotten. From the anguish of a little girl abandoned in the darkness to the ghostly presence of presidents wandering the halls of power, these tales of the supernatural connect us to the past in ways we can't always understand but can't help but fear. Every step into these haunted places brings with it a chill, a whisper, or a shadow just out of reach, reminding us that some stories never truly end. They linger in the places where pain and tragedy were most deeply felt, where memories were forged, and where time stands still. Thank you for joining me on this journey into some of the world's most haunted locations. If these tales sent a shiver down your spine, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the mysterious and the macabre. Your support helps keep these chilling stories alive, and I'll see you in the next journey into the unknown.